What if being young is the answer to eradicating poverty? The top 3 richest men in the world are all men that have done it for themselves. They became rich all on their own without any inheritance. And the thing that was good about them was they all started building their wealth before the age of 30. So there's something quite unique about the mindset of a young person which enables them to seek out such aspirational and progressive goals. If being young can help you become rich, can being young help uplift the poor? In the last 25 years, the world has seen a halving of those living in extreme poverty. And we're due to do it again. By the year 2015, we would have halved extreme poverty once again. That is those living on less than $1.25 a day, because of countries such as India and China on the rise. Now, there's 8 Millennium Development Goals, which are there to improve the lives of the poorest. The due date for achieving these goals are 2015. Currently, 1.4 billion people are living in extreme poverty. But with only 5 years to go, the question is, what will happen next? What will the world, us, you, aspire to? I believe we can be the first generation to see a world free of poverty. That's right. No one in poverty. This is not a pie-in-the-sky dream. This is something completely achievable. We have actually come so far in our human progression that we can see a world without extreme poverty. But there is a question there. What will that require? With extreme environmental events such as the floods, the earthquakes, the financial crisis, peak oil, food prices going high, nuclear warfare threats, what will it actually require to get that number down to 0? I think it has to do with our mindset. In particular, gaining a youthful mindset. As Robert F. Kennedy said in his address in South Africa, our answer is to rely on our youth. Not a time of life, but a state of mind, a temper of the will, a quality in our imagination, a predominance of courage over timidity, and the appetite for adventure over the love of ease. You see, it was a young general who extended an empire from Macedonia to the corners of the world. It was a young woman who reclaimed the territory of France. It was a young Italian explorer who said, "This is the new world." And it was a young man who proclaimed that all men are created equal. Time and time again, history has showed us that it is young people who have made an overproportional mark on the world and the way that it's driven. So this got me thinking, what is it to have a youthful mindset? I put together a group of 10 words, and I asked a bunch of young people, of these 10 words, which are the 5 that you think best describe a youthful mindset? Again and again, over and over, 100% of the time, these were the 5 words they chose. So, it was openness, ability to take risks, hunger for knowledge, courageousness, and energy. Whereas the others with a mature mindset was considered, thorough, knowledgeable, reliable, patient. As you can see from the elements of these groups, they're both really critical for the running of a society. However, I believe one is more important in us discovering new uncharted ground, for breaking the circuit, for ending the cycle that has been going on for generations, for traditions on end. And that is that of neoteny. So, what is this neoteny? In biology, the expression neoteny means the retention of juvenile characteristics in the adult of a species. It is the very expression that academic experts and renowned management gurus wrote in their book, Geeks and Geezers, by Warren Bennis and Robert Thomas. They said, neoteny is an essential ability to have for a leader. And not only that, if you have that, you can continue being a leader for a lifetime. It is the one element they saw over and over again in all world top leaders. In particular, it was a youthful element of hunger for learning that they said was absolutely paramount in being a leader, no matter what time, what age you were. And they said, if you lose that ability, you inevitably falter. So, what does this all actually mean? Basically, neoteny, or a youthful mindset, in my eyes, is associated with innovative leadership. That is, the ability to seek out new ways of learning, the ability to do something that you're not actually yet good at, completely new areas. It's the ability to look at gaps in society and find out transformation in them. In other words, it's the ability to see the way that the world currently works, and more importantly, the way that it should, and giving you the courage to make that leap. On the other hand, a mature mindset is one that enables incremental development leadership. This too is important in a society to have. This kind of mindset leads you to seek to improve. What it says is, I want to be better at what I'm currently good at. This kind of mindset is required if you want sustainability in a society, if you want efficiency in your ideas. But you see, like I said, in today's complex world, where the top 10 in-demand jobs are ones that didn't exist 6 years ago, where the most problematic issues in this world are transnational, such as climate change, global poverty, pandemics, nuclear weapon proliferation, a mindset of innovation and transformation is absolutely necessary. We cannot wait to improve the status quo. We have to change it. It is those that cultivate a neotenous mindset that continue to be leaders at any age. Walt Disney said, every child is born blessed with a beautiful imagination, but just as a muscle grows flabby with disuse, so does the bright imagination of a child. Pales in later years if it's not exercised. At the age of 85, Coco Chanel became head of a design firm. She said, nature gives you your face at 20, but it is up to you to merit the face you have at 50. So, why can't we just live young forever? Why can't we just have this young mindset all the time? World-renowned education expert and previous TED Talk participant Ken Robinson said that our education system hasn't done enough to retain the creativity that you get in childhood in your adult life. If anything, it tries to wrangle it out of you. And as we grow older, go on to high positions in our jobs, there's this perception that there's more at stake, there's more to lose. You know, you go up into your next job, get another promotion, and there's this feeling, right? There's this feeling like, can I still ask bold questions? Can I still put challenging ideas forward? Will I be looked upon as immature for doing that? Will I be demoted? It's this pressure that ends up wrangling the youthful mindset out of you. But, like I said, it's not a bad thing. What you end up getting is a mature mindset. However, if you, our nation, and our world want to find new ways of doing things, this is a problem. If we want to innovate, this is catastrophic. So, I thought about where this could possibly take us. In doing that, we looked at the past. So in observing history and social movements of history, we realized one thing, that it takes young people to instigate and mobilize a movement. Even when the world gives credit to one person, had there not been young people at the forefront of that movement, I doubt that it had ever been successful at all. Let's go into detail in one of those movements, the anti-apartheid movement. It is not really well known, but there were 12 young people who burnt their passes in defiance of the Bantu Education Act. The reason they did that was because this act pretty much said to them that your education levels would only enable you to become workers for white people. In doing this kind of criminal act, they had to escape South Africa. But this meant they set up ANC support offices all across the world. It meant they took the message of South Africa and Nelson Mandela with them and created support all around the world. Now, in 1976, there was a student uprising of the Soweto student protests, where again students took to the streets to say, no, we are not okay with you forcing upon us Afrikaans as a language in our schools as institutions of learning. You see, this was a really critical point in the South African liberation struggle. The reason being, up until this point, all the rebellion that occurred was from outside of South Africa. This was the first moment in time where the South African authorities had to split operations and manage rebellion both inside and outside South Africa. And hence, that created more pressure on the government. Now you fast forward another 5 years. Now you have New Zealand students getting involved. In 1981 Springbok tour, a mass mobilization of New Zealanders got involved, especially the young, and sent a strong message to South African government: it is not okay to be discriminating against black and colored people. I doubt if young people hadn't got involved, such movements had become successful, even surfaced. So, there is much to learn here. I believe to solve the major problems of this world, we must hold on to our youthful mindset. If we seek to innovate, we must see the eyes through the eyes of a child. We must see this world in its beauty. And in doing so, what's more, we must have a society that encourages this. It is with this belief that we founded an organization that is based on educated action for ending poverty. But at the backbone of this organization is the need to harness, to capture, and to cultivate the energy and the boldness of a youthful mindset. One of the first campaigns we ran was Paid Forward. Here I will give you some examples of what kind of stuff we did. The first one took the concept of Paid Forward and slapped on it a social cause, Pay Fair Trade Forward. A video next that you will see is going to explain what we did for that. This resulted in the campaign getting on national TV, and we had one of the largest cafe chains in New Zealand come on board as national partners. But you know, there was a story in that itself. In our strategy, we decided we're going to get local volunteers to go to local cafes and ask their cafes to come on board as the experiment day progressed. But 2 weeks before that experiment, we were like, why don't we just go up to the local cafe and show them what we're doing and energize and excite them? So 2 weeks before the day, we went along and we explained to them what we were wanting to do. And the first person we met, the staff member, was like, what are you going on about? She was so defensive. She was like, no way, we've already got our own fair trade promotion. And plus, this is too hard. I mean, are you guys crazy? What? How is this going to work in a computational system? Someone's going to order a latte, pay that forward, but the next person wants a cappuccino. We can't work with this. This is going to go crazy in our billing. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh my gosh. We've just invested so many months of work into this, and she's not even seeing any kind of benefit in her work, in her business, and this, the social movement from this. We were really disheartened. Then we were like, okay, one of the core values that we want to base this organization is a youthful mindset, and one of the core values of a youthful mindset is dynamism. So we were like, let's just change our strategy. So we went and talked to Esquire's headquarters. A day later, we got an email from them saying, you know what, we'll be your national partners. We will send out promotional materials to all our stores nationwide. And that's how that movement happened, within 2 weeks. Just to let you know, this promotion was done on a $0 budget. So we had more than 200 volunteers come on board. Of those that participated, 40% of the experiments ran right through the end of the day. And just as a bonus to the entire free trade movement, 3 months later, the other major cafe stores in New Zealand announced, Starbucks, that they are going to go fair trade next year, 100% fair trade. That is a remarkable story. Our next ambition is to make New Zealand fair trade, the entire country. So, one of the key things that we've learned is, innovation is really important for capturing the youth mindset. And that is something that we really want to encourage. So we set up something called the Social Enterprise Competition, where we ask high school students to come up with a problem in their community, propose a solution, and then the winning team gets the prize package to make it happen. In this case, they got $1,500. The problem that we focused on this year was underage drinking and the binge drinking culture. And we had ideas from participants ranging from anything from doing sting operations in their local alcohol stores to make sure that accessibility wasn't available to young people, right through to using social media as a medium for educational messages. The team that actually ended up winning this competition was a team that wanted to do their own self-directed, self-designed youth expo. They ran an alcohol help expo in that they had 700 to 800 young people come. They taught them how to make mocktails, and the empowerment we gave to these youth was unbelievable for that community. Our most recent initiative has been to use the New Zealand icon, the jandal. We used also the common phrase used in New Zealand, can you handle the jandal, slapped on a social cause, and what we asked people to do was send in their names so that we can add it to a jandal. The 13th jandal that was going around with 12 young New Zealanders in New York, literally came off the flight at 7 a.m. this morning, so it was traveling with us the last 2 weeks, and what we were doing was adding names as we go along, and we were introducing this jandal to world leaders to say these are people who care about seeing a world without poverty. And we presented this jandal to world leaders such as UNDP Administrator and past Prime Minister of New Zealand, Helen Clark. She was amazed by what we were doing. And after that, we didn't stop there. We were like, you know what? It would be really cool to actually get world leaders themselves excited. So we got them on board, and this is what we did.
Can you handle the jandal?
We asked you if you could handle the jandal, and many of you have shown your support. Now we'd like to show you some of the world leaders who agree with you in achieving the Millennium Development Goals. So, who can handle the jandal?
New Zealand, this is Hugh Evans here in New York, and my question for you is, can you handle the jandal?
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 You handle the jandal?
And we certainly hope that you can handle the jandal.
Although the Millennium Development Goals Summit is over, there are still 5 years to go to making these goals a reality. Don't leave it to the last minute, and show your support now by logging on to www.p3foundation.org. Spread the word with friends, family, at random you are checking out on the bus, and play your part in achieving the Millennium Development Goals.
In 2 weeks, we had over 400 signatories. We were interviewed by BBC World, New Yorker, the UN radio station, UNICEF. It is our intention to use the buzz of these world leaders, as well as leaders back home, to create a groundswell movement and then post it to the government of New Zealand before the government elections and saying, you know what, you need to fulfill your promises to the Millennium Development Goals, that you made a promise in year 2000 that you will give 0.7% of your gross national income in achieving zero poverty. So, for an organization less than a year old, if we hadn't purposefully designed ourselves to take into account a youthful mindset, there's no way we would have had the quality and the quantity of impact that we've had. I find it so interesting that in our society, we put so much emphasis on analytical thinking, on critical mindset, critical thinking, but not enough on spontaneity, creativity, witty. You see, when was the last time you asked a 5-year-old what they wanted to do when they grow up? And they took longer than a minute to decide. Most of them come up with Superman, astronaut, I want to be a P, something really random, right? It's us using that, learning from that, the boldness, the imagination, and the creativity in that kind of thinking, in us achieving a better, fairer future. So, how do you retain this neoteny? Firstly, you hang out with young people more than you do, and you should. Secondly, you purposefully design your life so that you're constantly meeting people from all sorts of different backgrounds. Purposefully design your life like that, so that they're challenging your perspectives all the time. In doing that, you get a more open mind, and you start to question your already always way of listening and your already always way of doing. Thirdly, and most importantly, you learn new things. Whether it's learning Spanish or going to learn snowboarding for the first time, learn new things. Most of us have this one thing that we are really passionate about, that we want to put lots of effort and time into, that we even want to become competitive in. But I'll assure you now, if you put lots and lots of time into that thing and lots of hard work, you will definitely become excellent in that field. But to become master in that field is a completely new paradigm. To become a master in a field, you need to bring innovation into the field. You need to bring something that is new from outside in, your own style. I'll tell you an example. I've been learning to do salsa, and I was going to the beginners classes, doing this. Then I got onto improvers, did a bit more, and then I got into intermediate, and then I was, turning and all that jazz. And then I realized, to get onto advanced, I can't just do salsa, because I need to be able to listen to the subtle changes in the music and the subtle changes that my body needs to do to adjust to that music. And to do that, I need to start learning the merengue, ballroom dancing, zouk, and investing time in salsa. So, if you want to master a field, you must look outside of the field and come back in. Another example is, so last year for my medical elective, I went to Costa Rica. And one of the things we did in that medical elective was build houses for Costa Rica's most poorest and flood-ridden region. It was really hard to get time off. Our clinical director was like, what are you going on about? You can't do that. That's got nothing to do with your clinical training. We begged and we said, come on, we'll make up our time during weekends. One of the first patients that came to us when we came back was a girl who had contractures in her hand. And these contractures were tightening more and more and causing her more and more pain. Now, we were in a clinic which is, really poorly resourced. There wasn't a pre-built splint that we could give her. So me and my friend, both of us that had gone to build this house, used wooden spatulas to create a splint for her, wrapped around with lots and lots of wool to try and slowly expand this hand for her. Now, I'm absolutely convinced, had we not gone and built those houses, there's absolutely no way had we even come up with the idea, the skills, or the confidence to do that. It took for us to take something from outside of the field and apply it to our specialist field to actually start innovating. That is what happens when you start learning things outside of what you normally do. One of the last things I'll tell you guys is do crazy things. I'm almost done. Dr. Hans Rosling, who's a global health expert and renowned TED speaker, said to us, how do you make statistics sound fun when most statisticians can't do anything like that? And he pretty much said, to be engaging and entertaining on stage, you have to be engaging and entertaining off stage. And for him, he does sword swallowing for fun. One of the things that I do is do one thing that scares me every day. So whether that is jumping off a bridge or approaching celebrities to sign a random flip-flop from New Zealand, you have to do something that scares you. So I challenge you to stay young. Ending poverty is within our lifetime. It is within our mindset. Be young. Thank you.
Very good.